Hi guys, James here. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone's having a great day. In today's video, we are going to be sitting down and decluttering all of my eyeshadow palettes. Well, going through them and decluttering some of them. I have over 65 eyeshadow palettes in front of me. I used to have over 100, so I'm glad that I haven't got as many as I used to have. Just because I only have 2 eyes and I have limited time, so I'm not going to use all of these on my face throughout the whole year. So in today's video, I thought I would sit down and declutter them. I did do and organize like my everyday makeup drawer in my last video, and then I said I was going to go through my everyday drawers next to me with my eyeshadow palettes and just go through them. But I decided, you know what, let's just do an eyeshadow declutter video. I'm not planning on buying any more eyeshadow palettes unless there's something that's released that I'm like, oh my God, I need to have. But that would take a very special palette for me to do that. It's probably going to be a collab with somebody that I follow and love. To support them. So I thought this would be the best time to do the eyeshadow palette declutter video. Now on my face, I do have an injury. I have gone through the walls, not really. I have like an outbreak here that's kind of infected that I have like antiseptic cream on, but I don't want to like brush my face and then get the cream all over myself. So I just put a band-aid on. I just don't have the small band-aid. So this is what we have here. Other than that, I'm ready to go. I have all my eyeshadow palettes in front of me. I have my Peach RC next to me because I will be talking a lot. So I need my vocal cords to remain lubricated. And I also do have my tweezers because some of these little ColourPop ones are very hard to open. So we have tweezers to open those. Other than that, I'm excited to get through this video. And hopefully you guys enjoy this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel because it's the Christian thing to do. And also leave a comment on any of these palettes that you have tried or have wanted to try or have any questions on any of these palettes or these brands in particular. I will try and answer them to the best of my abilities. And with that, guys, let's get straight into the video. Alright, guys, as I was just about to sit down and film this, I found 20 other eyeshadow palettes in a box next to me on my table. I thought that box was empty and I was going to put all the eyeshadow palettes that I was going to declutter in that box on the chair next to me. But that box was actually filled with 20 other eyeshadow palettes. So we now have 90 plus eyeshadow palettes, not the 70 that I thought I had. But I'm glad I found them so we can include them in this video. So let's just get straight into it. I have my tweezers here. I'm going to put them there. Hopefully everything's in focus. So let's start with this one. This is actually an empty magnetic palette. It is from Temu. I like the packaging and it's a good quality empty magnetic palette. I have a whole lot of singles in here. These singles I'm actually going to keep because these are brand new to me. They were actually sent to me by Ali Dawson. So I'm going to keep all of these. These are a mixture of like fantasy, cosmetic, and a couple of other brands as well. So I really want to try these out and I just want to keep them in here. So these are new to me. I'm keeping them. We have, this one here is the Gourmand Girls Haunted palette. I bought this about 3 months ago and I absolutely love this palette. It's so pretty. Oh, there's a hair in it. Okay, it's so pretty. I love the greens, the purples. It's just my vibe. And I did wait until this went on sale. And I'm so glad I picked it up before it like got discontinued because I don't think this is a palette that they're going to have on their website all the time because it is a Halloween palette. So I'm really happy I picked this up. I love all the shimmers, all the mattes blend out perfectly, and we're going to keep that one. We have an Adept palette, Adept Cosmetics. I love the packaging. I haven't really played with this one. I've swatched some of the shimmers, but I haven't played with it. So we're going to keep it because it is quite new to me as well. And I really like these shimmers and I really want to try out this brand for myself. So we're going to play with that one on a TikTok live or a tutorial sometime. We have these ColourPop palettes. This is Just My Luck. Love this palette. This is actually from my mystery box from ColourPop last 3 weeks ago, something like that. I do find that these palettes, the plastic ones, they don't keep closed. Over time, the plastic warps and they don't snap shut. So that's kind of annoying because the shimmers do tend to dry out. The palettes just warp and then they just don't close. I don't know why. This is already starting to do that. When I got it, it would clamp, but then over time it just opens itself. But we're going to keep that one because green's my favorite color to play with. Well, greens, purples, and blues. The next one we have is the Blue Moon palette. We're going to keep this one. It's a beautiful palette. Love this one. I've used it multiple times. We have the On the Cloud Blue palette. See how it's already warped. This one's like new to me as well, and it's just not closing properly, but we're going to keep it. Oh, I might take this out. We're going to keep it because I love blue, and it's a beautiful palette. So I really have to press it down, but over time that will snap back open. I don't know why it does that, but they just do. Next, we have this little Mecca Max palette. I like this palette. It's just a very like kind of grungy green and neutral tone palette, but I really like the shimmers and the matte formula. And I do see myself playing with this one a bit more, so I'm going to keep that one. I think that retailed for $20, which is not too bad price-wise for the amount of shadows you get and the size of the pans. The next one we have is another ColourPop one. This is really pretty. I mainly keep it for the shimmers. Like these shimmers here are really pretty. This one in the middle is stunning, and then this one has like a pinky purple shift. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but I'm going to keep it for those shimmers, not the mattes, just the shimmers. We have my friend Ali Dawson's Falling in Love palette. This is her collaboration. I love this palette. It's so pretty. These yellow and green tones are stunning, and then this shimmer is really pretty as well. So we're definitely going to keep it. As you can see, I have given it quite a lot of love. The white packaging can make it a little messy, but at least you can tell that I used it. So we're going to keep that one forever. We have this Glamlight Hershey's palette. Now, this is the milk chocolate palette. I do have the cookies and cream one. This one is actually still new to me. I've only played with this shimmer as an inner corner. I haven't played with the other shades, but I do definitely want to play with it. So we're going to keep that one because I love that palette and the warm, rich brown tones in that. Then we do have the cookies and cream one. Now you can tell that I love this palette. This shade here in particular, it doesn't have a name, but I mean, I have dug into that. It's almost hit pan. It's such a pretty palette. I really like this one. I love the gray tones and this like gunmetal almost shimmer. It's really pretty. So we're keeping that one. We have some Juvia's Place palettes next. We have the Warriors 2 by Juvia's. We are going to keep this one for special effect makeup because the pans are so big. I can do like a full face brush in these pans. If I'm doing like a purple look or a pink blush or something like that, we're going to keep that. I don't really use that for my eyes. It's mainly for like face bronzer contour type thing. We have this one here as well. This one I got in my mystery box multiple times. This red is really good for like a bruised blood effect with the pinks, like mixing those two. As you can see, I have gone into the reds, gone into the shimmer there, but I like it, so we're going to keep it special effects. Then we have the purple 6-pound one. This is the Nubian Royal. I like this one. Again, I'm going to keep it for special effects. I don't like the glitter, but this purple, this rich purple, is stunning, and I really want to keep it because it's a really beautiful purple that's not patchy on the eyes or the face, so we're going to keep that one. Next one, we have this one here. This I'm going to declutter because it's just very neutral. And I don't see myself using these. I'm keeping the other ones because they're colorful. These ones, I have so many of these shades in other palettes. I just don't need this one, so we're going to declutter it. I do like this green, but I do have greens like that in my other palette, so we'll just declutter that one. Next, we have this MAC palette, and it is signed by Ali Dawson because I bought it off her. And I asked if she could sign it, and she said, yeah, okay. So this is the palette. It's so pretty. I love these like green, yellow, and blue shades, and then this like pastel blue. Really pretty. I'm going to keep that palette because it's signed, and I just love the color story. And I also like MAC's eyeshadow formula. We have this Charlotte Tilbury. It's a very neutral palette, but it's a really pretty neutral. So I'm trying to not get the glare back from the mirror, so I'm trying to hide it. This is a really pretty palette. I'm going to keep it. It is quite expensive. I think it cost me over $110 Australian, but I really like this palette, so we'll keep that one. And that's the green that I was talking about. That was similar to the shade in the Juvia's Place palette that I decluttered. So we'll keep that palette. All right, let me just try and get all my Juvia's Place palettes together. I think I've got the rest of them. Let's talk about these ones. So this one here is a 6-pound one. I bought these as a bundle. I'm going to keep this palette. This blue is just stunning. And then these rich earthy tones, we have to keep it. It's so pretty. I've used it so many times. We have this one here. Again, I love these palettes. The pan sizes are huge, so it looks like you've never touched these. But I have played with these palettes a lot. And this shimmer in particular is beautiful. We have to keep that one. Then we have this beautiful pink one. Again, it's stunning. This pink shimmer is everything. Just gives you life, and the pink tones, we're going to keep it. We have this one. I haven't used this one much, so I'm going to declutter it. I have dipped into the shimmers, but I haven't used it as much, so we're going to declutter that one. We have this grey one. I did use this recently and I love it. I love the grey tones. This is really pretty. I've used this one the most. And then the shimmers are nice as well. So we're going to keep that one. We have this really like rich yellowy mustard earthy tone one. I like this one, but I haven't really used it. I've only played, I think, with it once. And I've only used one of these shades. So we're going to declutter that one just because I have these shades in the other palette. So we declutter that one. Next, we have the Rebels Mint palette. Oh my God, it's so pretty. Like these shimmers, you can tell I've used those. And these mattes are nice as well, but these shimmers are everything. We'll keep those. So keeping those, we have this beautiful palette from Odin's Eye. I did have other palettes, but I decluttered them because they weren't my favorite formula. But this palette was actually really pretty. And I really like the shimmers in this palette and the like yellowy orange tones. The purples, you can tell I've played with those, and then these shimmers are stunning. These shimmers are mostly eyeshadow toppers, so they're quite translucent. They just kind of enhance the mattes underneath them, but they are really pretty. So we're going to keep that one for now. Then we have some Colourpop palettes. Let me try and get my Colourpop palettes here. So we've got a couple, this one, we have this one, and we have this one. I think that's all my Colourpop palettes that I can see right now. Oh, yeah, no, and we have this one. Okay, so let's start with this one first. Oh, magnets, really strong with this one. I like this color story. I actually really wanted this palette and I got it in a mystery box. So I was really happy when I did get it. And I like these orange and blue shades. This is like a super shock shadow. Really pretty as a brow highlighter, inner corner highlighter, even a cheek highlighter. I'm going to keep this one, and this blue matte is really pretty. I like that. Blends out nicely, not patchy at all. We'll keep that one. We have the Limoncello palette from Colourpop. I got this in the mystery box as well. It's a pretty palette, but I haven't used it, and I don't know if I will. So I might actually give this to somebody who might use it more than I will. Maybe my sister or a friend. So we're going to keep that aside. We are decluttering, but we're not throwing it away. The other palettes, like the Juvia's Place ones, they are 2-3 years old. We're throwing them away. I'm not giving them away. They're time to go, like in the bin. Next, we have this Aha Honey palette, beautiful yellow palette. I like it. I don't use the glitter shades in the middle, but I do like the actual yellows, like this matte and this matte I've used quite a few times. So I'm going to keep it because I don't really have like an all yellow palette. So we'll keep that one for now. We have this Aura and Out palette, like a pastel greenish one. Gonna keep it. It's pretty. There is a glitter shade in it as well. I don't use that one, but I use the shimmers and like the light shades. Really pretty. This shimmer Soul Sister is so pretty. I don't want to swatch everything because I get into swatching the videos like 10 hours long, and I don't want to have to do that to you guys this time. Plus it gets really messy all over my hands, so I'm not swatching much today. But just trust me, they are pretty. The next ones we have are these Cashmere Forever palettes. Now, some of these I got in mystery boxes. Some of these actually were given to me by a friend. So let's see what they look like. I think this is a purple one. Ugh. Okay. Come on, man. Okay. No, let's just rip this stupid box. Okay, there we go. Don't even know why they're still on the box. Okay, so this is the purple one. We're going to keep it because it's pretty and I love purple. So that's pretty. Keep that one. We have the blue one. Let's see if this one will come out a bit more. I think one of these were broken, but I can't remember which one it was. Okay, so this is a blue one. We're going to keep that one because it's pretty. I like blue. And then we have the green one. I think this was the one that had a broken shade in it, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, we have this like olivey green earthy tone one. Again, really pretty. Gonna keep that one. These three palettes, like green, purple, blues, are my favorite colors to play with. More brighter colors, like the brighter purples, brighter blues, and brighter greens, but we'll keep those because they're still pretty. Throw that in the bin. And then this one here is the Color Visual eyeshadow palette, a 5-pan eyeshadow palette, but I think this one's a bit bigger than the others. It seems bigger. Okay, this one, oh no, I thought this had a broken shade in it. Oh yeah, it kind of did, but it's pressed back in. This is pretty. I do like the hot pink, so we're going to keep that one because that pink is really pretty. I do like the Super Shock shadows that they put in their palettes. Keep that one. I might put it back in here because then I know which one's actually broken, and to be a little bit careful when I open it. So, oh. There we go. Okay, So keep that one. And then we do have another Colourpop one. This is the at Forest Side Raw Beauty Christie. I'm not decluttering it. I just love the colour story. I love the memories that this palette gave me when I got it. I was so lucky to get the whole collection because it sold out within 5 minutes, and I bought the whole collection, set my alarm. I think it launched at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning for me. And I managed to get the whole collection, the Super Shock shadows, the liners, the lip glosses, and the lashes, I think there was lashes. I can't remember. Anyway, I love this palette. We're going to keep it. I love these. This row is pretty. This row, just everything is pretty about it. We're going to keep it. I haven't used it for a while, but I just memories. I'm keeping it. Next one we have is Morphe 2. Now, this is a little 5-quad eyeshadow palette, and I actually really like the quality of this palette. This is really, really pretty. The shimmers blend out really nicely, and then just the mattes blend out nicely. So we're going to keep it because I was surprised with the formula. I didn't think it was going to be good. I wanted to try it on camera. I think I did a tutorial with that, just to see what the Morphe 2 brand is all about. And the formula is actually okay. I was happy about that. All right, the next one we have is the Hershey's Kiss Lava Cake palette. This is the pink one. Now, they have done 2 Hershey's releases. This is the first one, and then the previous palettes you saw were the second release. They had 4 of these. They had the blue, purple, like neutral brown, and then this pink one, and I really like this pink one. This was the only one I got from that first collection, and it's so pretty, and I love the packaging. Packaging is so cute. We're going to keep it. These pinks are really pretty, and it's like dark brownish purple is nice as well. So keep that one. We have the Glam Light Donut palette. Now, I love the vibrancy of this palette, but I'm going to declutter it because it's just not working for me. And I don't like their highlighter formula, or at least this highlighter formula. It's too chunky glittery. So we'll declutter that one. Next, we have this Endangered Cosmetics eyeshadow palette, the Sea Turtle Press palette. Now, I like this palette, but it's very, very old. I like the color story of it. This gold is like seeping oil out, and then this is really pretty like blue shimmer, but I haven't used it in such a long time, and I think this is probably 3 years old, so we're going to declutter it. It's pretty, but it's time to go. This one here is from Morphe. This is the 35Y Aura Escape palette. I actually was really, really surprised by this palette. It's massive. It's really pretty. I don't really use the neutrals, but these blue and purple tones and this pink, really, really pretty. I'm actually really happy with this palette, so we're going to keep it because it's a really good palette and the formula works well. So keep that one. And now let's get rid of these 2 Colourpop palettes, or let's talk about them at least. This one here is the Very Lovely palette. It's a neutral palette, I think. New to me as well. I think it might have broken shade in it. Yeah, it has a broken shade in it. Well, it has 2, this one and this one. I did try and press it back with this little plastic thing in it. I like this color story, so I'm going to actually keep it. I think I'm going to play with it. This like lilac purple is really pretty. So we're going to put this plastic back on, and we're going to keep it in its packaging so it doesn't get any more like messy or have fallout everywhere. But we're going to keep that one because it's pretty. And it's like brand new to me. So we'll keep that one. We have It's a Mood Colourpop palette. I like this palette. I got this in a mystery box. We're going to keep it. All of these rows, like these 3 are really pretty. I don't like the glitters, but I really like these. So we'll keep that one. It's the only big Colourpop palette I have left. The other one I decluttered because it smelled like a foot. That's a different story though. Next we have the Rated M Center of Attention's Cosmetics palette. I like this palette. I haven't played with it enough. I have played with it a few times. This all out like glitter is so pretty. I'm almost out of that shadow. But the actual color story of this palette is really pretty. These like blues and greens and purples and like this hot pink is really pretty. I just need to sit down and play with it. It's got the neutrals. It's got everything you need. I'm going to keep this one. My friend Lottie raves about this palette and she uses it all the time. And I can understand why, because the formula does blend out like a dream. So we'll keep that one. It's a beautiful big like rainbow neutral eyeshadow palette. We have the W7 Cool Down, the Coolest Shades palette. I like this palette, but I'm going to declutter it because I actually have another palette in mind to replace this one. It's pretty, and I like W7 Sevens formula. The shimmers can be quite hard pan at start, but once you swirl your finger in and get rid of that hard layer on the surface of the shimmers, they end up being really, really creamy and like buttery. So at first they can seem dry, but they are really, really pretty and buttery. So I do like that about this brand, but I am going to declutter this palette because I have another big palette that is going to replace this one. But I do like this palette. So we'll declutter that one. We have these little, oh, this is an empty Morphe one. I thought that was full. This one here. No, that's empty as well. Let's move on to this one, Revolution. I like this palette, but I only really like this purple. So I'm going to try and get this purple shimmer out because it's just such a pretty shadow. I know I said I wasn't going to like swatch too much, but this is just, it's like a purple iridescent like eyeshadow topper. It's actually feeling a bit more like dry than what I remember, but it's so pretty. We're going to keep that palette just for that shade. I'm going to get that shade out and put it in one of these empty magnetic palettes, and then I'm going to declutter this palette. So this will be decluttered except that one shade because it's a purple, like a beautiful purple shimmer. It's stunning. Keep that one. This one here, Kaleidos Flower Punk palette. I'm always going to have this palette because it just gives me everything I need. It's got the like light greenish blue shades. It's got the pinky shades and then the yellowy mustard and dark green shades. It's everything. Now this palette does only have 3 shimmers, but the shimmers in this palette just are fantastic. I have used this shade as an inner corner highlighter so many times just for a pop of like green, and then this shimmer is really pretty as well. That works as a great inner corner. I just love this palette. We're going to keep it forever until it really starts to dry out and crack. Until then, I'm going to keep it forever. We have this Geologic Cosmetics Pilbara palette. I really like this palette, but it's old. Like it is probably almost 3 years old. We're going to declutter it. Some of the shades are broken. These 2 shimmers are the only ones I really use, and the earthy green tones are beautiful, but I have a lot of these tones in other palettes that are a lot newer and the formula isn't as dry. So we're going to declutter it, but I do like this palette. I like the formula. We have the Kimchi Virgin Mojito palette. I love this palette. I recently just bought this probably 6 weeks to 8 weeks ago. I originally did have this palette years ago, and I repurchased it because I just love the greeny and the yellowy tones in this palette. We're keeping that one. I'm keeping a lot of palettes. I realize I'm keeping a lot, so I apologize. We're going to declutter this one, Makeup Revolution Ultra Eyeshadow Palette. It's just, oh, okay, let me get my tweezers. This is why I have my tweezers. Okay. It's pretty, but the pans are so small and the shimmers are lackluster, so we're going to declutter it. I didn't realize, like, they all look like shimmers. I don't know if the mattes actually have, like, a shimmer finish, but they all are shimmery, and I don't like that. If I want a matte, I want a matte. This one, we're decluttering that one. Put that in my bag next to me. We have this Eternal Love palette, Trevor X Dose of Colors. Love this palette. I got this in a, like, sale when that was on sale. Final sale, and I'm so glad I did. Like these shifts in this palette are stunning. Goes from purple to pink, and I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but it's pretty. We're going to keep that one. We have the NYX Ultra Matte. I know that's bright. Now this palette, everyone thinks that NYX is quite an affordable brand. This palette retails for $45 at Priceline in a drugstore like chemist store. It's expensive for what it is, but it's a really good formula, and I'm glad I picked it up. These 2 shimmers are really pretty. This palette was sold out for so long, and it finally got restocked, and then I could actually swatch the shimmers in store, and I fell in love with this palette, so we're keeping this one. It's pretty. Beautiful rainbow palette. Expensive for what it is, but it's still good. We have this Gold Crush eyeshadow palette from Makeup Revolution. We're going to declutter it because I haven't used it, and it's a year and a bit old, so we'll declutter that one. We have this Natasha Denona palette. I don't know why I bought it. It was FOMO. Everyone talked about it. It finally came into the Perth Sephora store, and I was like, oh, let's buy it. I have not played with it. I think I might have swatched it. I've not played with it. So we're going to keep it. We're going to play with it and at least try the formula, but I don't know why I bought it. We're just holding it because I spent $45 on it. We have this Too Faced Italian Spritz palette. I like this palette, but I'm actually going to give this palette away to a friend because she wanted to try it. I've only used it once. I did make a tutorial with it. The shimmers are really creamy and the mattes actually blend out really nicely, but I know that she will use this palette a lot more than me. So I'm going to give that to her because it's a pretty palette. I'm decluttering, but I'm not throwing it away. This is another palette that I'm going to give to my friend. This is Natasha Denona My Dream palette. It's a very neutral palette. I don't know why I bought it. I used it once. I didn't like it. We're going to give that away. It's a waste of money, but at least it's going to a good home. We have the Cosmo Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. I've used this a couple of times. It's pretty, but again, I'm going to give this to my friend because she loves Anastasia Beverly Hills. And this is more of her like color story, neutral with some pops of colors. It's a pretty palette. I did a tutorial with it, but I asked her, do you want to play with it? Because I don't think I'm going to use it. And she's like, yes, please. And I know she didn't get this palette, so we'll give that to her. Then guys, we have this Natasha Denona Yucca palette. This color story is right up my alley. I just love this color story. I will play with this forever. It cost me over $200, so we're going to keep this one. This shade here is so pretty, like so pretty. Just to brighten up the inner corner with that shade. You don't always need a shimmer for an inner corner highlighter. You can use the matte, and this is perfect for that. It's just a really pretty, like darky, yellowy, mustardy toned green palette, and I love it. So we're going to keep that one. And I love the packaging, like a matte packaging, really pretty. And I like that you can actually pop out all the shades at the back, just push them out, and you can buy the individual shades, I think, to replace the shades you've used up, which is good. I wish more palettes did that. Like this one here, it's going to be a bitch to get that purple shade out. I don't know if it's stuck in. If it's stuck in, I'll probably break the shadow, and I don't want to do that. If it's magnetic, then I can just get like a fridge magnet. Hopefully this will work if it's magnetic. If it's not, well then, yeah, it's not. It's probably glued in there. So that's going to be hard to get it out. But I like that Natasha Denona actually pops or allows you to pop the shadows out and replace the shadows you need. That's good. I just think it's a lot better than trying to dig the shade out. Next, we have this W7 Whatever Totally Random Press Pigment Palette. Now, this is a dupe for an Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. I don't know which one it is, but it is. I actually like the formula of this palette. Not so much the shimmers, but the mattes. Like this purple, this is a $7 palette. To get a purple that is this rich in color and pigmented and not patchy and blends out is very, very impressive to me. When you have all these shadows and all the mattes blend out perfectly. The Anastasia Beverly Hills version of this is up to $80 Australian. So the fact that you can get a dupe that blends out as well as the Anastasia Beverly Hills one for this price, I think is very good. But in saying that, I am going to declutter it because I have a lot of other purples that I like, and I'm mainly really keeping this palette for these three shades. Like I said, the shimmers are lackluster, and I find Anastasia Beverly Hills shimmers are quite lackluster in my opinion. I like a really foiled, like creamy, buttery shimmer, and these are just not that. These are just they're quite dry, and they're a bit patchy, like, they don't really swatch the best. They're not giving, like this shimmer next to it is just giving life. This one is just giving me, I'm bored, I want to go home, from school. So we're decluttering this palette. I like the palette though. Next we have this Beauty Bay Earthly palette. Oh my God, it's so pretty. This was given to me by a friend, and I'm so happy that I have this palette in my collection. It's just so pretty. Like this shade, I know it's a neutral shade, but it's just like, this is what I want in a shimmer, not this. I want this in a shimmer. You can just see the difference. Beauty Bay, Anastasia Beverly Hills, and then Makeup Revolution. This just wins it out for me. This purple is pretty, but this is just, it's so pretty. So we're going to keep this palette. I love green. So happy I have that in my collection. Next we have this Blend Bunnies palette, the original Blends palette. Love this rainbow palette. It's so pretty. I just finally hit pan in this shade, Promise. But I have used every single shade in this palette. It is quite dirty. It's over 2 years old. We're going to keep this palette because I really like this palette. It doesn't have any shimmers. It's just mattes only. But the mattes blend out themselves. And it's just a really reliable palette. If other shades don't work in another palette, I reach for this one. And I can always just rely on this one. So we're going to keep it. It doesn't have a mirror, which I'm actually quite happy about. It's a bit dirty, but I love it. We're keeping that one. And then, guys, we have another Juvia's Place palette, which was Hiding. I bought this palette for these middle shades, like these blues and then this light blue shade. Really pretty. It does have some glittered shades, which I'm not a huge fan of. Some neutral shades and then some like cool tone grays. But I don't see myself playing with this palette, so we're just going to declutter it because it's probably 2 years old and I've barely dipped into a lot of these shades. Like I've swatched some of these, but I haven't actually played with this palette too much, so we'll declutter that one. We have this Kind Collective neutral palette. Oh, this was a mission. I did a tutorial on this brand, or a full face of the Kind Collective, and I like this palette. The mattes blended out okay. The shimmers were very, very lackluster. Again, I'm going to swatch it just to show you what I mean. Like, they are creamy and buttery, but on the eyes, like, that is actually really pretty. What one did I use? I think maybe this one. Maybe this one. Yeah, I think this one. That was the one that I didn't really like. It's such a difference. It's so different. I don't know why formulas are different like that. Anyway, it was lackluster. The mattes blended out nicely, but I have the Charlotte Tilbury palette that I like over this one, so we're going to declutter it. It's just very different. I don't understand that sometimes. Anyway, we have this Nomad palette. This is the Lavender Field palette. I love this palette. I bought it on launch day. It took 2 months to get to me, which was very annoying. I kept reaching out to the brand, asking where my palette was, because I bought it on launch day. I stayed up and I bought it on launch day at like 1 o'clock in the morning when it launched, my time here in Australia. It took over 2 months to get, and in between that time, they actually released another collection, and people were receiving their orders from that collection when my order from this collection, previous to the other one, hadn't even shipped. The label had been created, but hadn't been shipped. So that was really annoying for me to deal with the brand. They just ignored my DMs and my emails, so I was annoyed about that. I'm going to declutter this palette because it's pretty, but I don't know. We'll declutter it. The brand's annoying to me now. I like their lip gloss shades though; they're really pretty. Next, we have this Dragon Fruit palette. Now, this is a little different because this is actually an old palette in a new packaging. The original packaging that this palette came in was hard plastic, and the mirror part was really, really heavy, that it actually broke the hinges and it snapped the lid off in the first 2 days that I got this palette. And I noticed that a lot of other people had the same problem, and they restocked this palette recently, almost probably 5 weeks ago, but in the new cardboard packaging, because I had so many people break the lid off with the hinges because the mirror was so heavy, and the plastic hinges just they couldn't hold the mirror up and it would break, and then the shimmers would dry out. So I left a cheeky comment on their relaunch, like restock Instagram post, and said, oh, you know, I had this palette, but the lid broke. And they actually reached out to me and said, can you please send photos of it? And if you've got the order number, we will send you out a new like packaging, cardboard packaging, to replace the broken packaging. And they said they actually had a list of people that they were doing that for. Now, this is an indie brand. They did not have to do that, but they actually sent me out the cardboard packaging, and they told me, use the fridge magnet, and you can actually just lift the shadows out just like that, and then you can put it in the new cardboard packaging. So that's what I did. So now this palette is completely like brand new. The lid closes, the shimmers are not going to dry out. I had that old lid taped shut with sticky tape because these are all shimmers and they can dry out if they're just left in the open air. So the shimmers in this palette are still really creamy, really pigmented, over 1.5 years old, even with a broken lid. I mean, look how pretty that green is, stunning. And I just really wanted to mention that this brand did that for me and a lot of other people at their own expense. They shipped it to Australia at their own expense. And I thought that was really nice of them. So I'm going to give props to them. This is a beautiful palette, and I'm so happy I can continue to use that palette, because that wasn't a cheap palette. That was over $100 Australian, and the shipping was probably another $20, $30. So it was not a cheap palette to buy, and I'm glad I can still use that one. Next, we have this W7 eyeshadow palette. This is a dupe for a Too Faced palette. Their Born Neutral, Born this Naked Neutral palette, whatever it was from Too Faced. This is a identical dupe layout and everything. I actually really like this palette. It's a really pretty palette. The shimmers in this palette perform a lot better than the Anastasia Beverly Hills ones. But I do find the pans are very small, so you can't get your full finger in there, which is how I apply my shimmers, which can be annoying. Like, you can't coat your whole entire finger the way you want it. So that can be annoying. You have to dip in multiple times. And because of that, I'm going to declutter it because I just don't want to have to fight with the palette. I want it to work with me, not against me. So we'll declutter that one. Next, we have my Luna Beauty palette. Actually, we have quite a few, so let me try and pull these all out. This one, and then this one. All right, all my Luna Beauty palettes are here. So we've got the Moonspell Volume 2. Oh, such a beautiful palette. I've not played with this one for a while. I really need to get back into it. Look how dirty it is, though. It's so dirty. These shimmers, like this one here, it's so pretty. A little crumbly now because it's so old. But, oh, you put some glitter glue down, and that is just a stunning shimmer. We're going to keep that one because I like that palette. We have the Strawberry Dreams palette. This is my first ever Luna Beauty palette. Love the packaging, but it is over 4 years, maybe even 5 years old. It's pretty, but I only kept this palette for this one shade, which is Blue Diamond, and it's so creamy still, so pretty. Like the reflector blue in that palette, oh my goodness. It is an eyeshadow topper, so it's not like completely like a full pigment shimmer, but it's so pretty, and it's just perfect as an inner corner highlighter. But I can't justify keeping this one, so we're going to declutter it. Next, we have this Moonspell Volume 1, or this is the first one, and then this is the Volume 2. It's a bit bigger, Volume 2, and it has more shadows than this one does. I like the palette of this one, though. It is pretty. It's got the purples, it's got the greens. It has this, like, oh, let me clean my finger off. This beautiful, like, greyish purple pink shimmer shade called Prue. But I just haven't used this palette enough. It's pretty, but I haven't used it enough, so we're going to declutter this one, and we're going to keep the Volume 2 because it's got more of the colours I like. Then lastly, we have this Eternal Eclipse palette. Really, really pretty palette. It is quite messy because a lot of the palettes that I like to use a lot are very messy, especially this like adamantium, like silver shimmer. I'm going to swatch it on this hand. It's so pigmented. A bit chunky, and I know Manny, when he released this palette, he did say it's probably best with a glitter glue so you don't get too much fallout, but it's so pretty, and just I like this row is just everything I love. The greys, the grungy blues, and then this matte but with like rainbow shimmer in it. Really pretty. So we're going to keep this one. It is a palette that I dip into very, very often, so we'll keep that one. Next, we have this one here, which is the Nomad Whistler Snow Lodge palette. It's a beautiful palette. It's so pretty. I mainly only use these like blues and then these greens, but these blues, like this royal blue shimmer, stunning. And then this blue shimmer, I don't know if you can see, it's got like reflex of pink and purple in it. I have to keep this palette. I do like the palette, so we'll keep that one. Next, we have another Juvia's Place palette. Actually, is this a second one? I feel like I have this one already. No, I feel like I'm getting confused with this one. Let's see. Okay, so it's got some similar shades in it. Like this purple there, the yellow, the greenish. Like, these two are the same. These two are similar. These two are kind of similar. Similar. I'm going to declutter this one. I'm going to keep this one because this is newer than that one. Yeah, we're going to do that. Keep that one. Declutter this one. Then we have another W7 palette. This is my Atlantis palette. Now, this is a dupe for Huda Beauty. Oh, so pretty. Like, look at these two shades. So pretty. The purple and, like, blue, pink reflexes. Now, these are eyeshadow toppers. They're not like these ones, so they're more just to go on top of a matte and transform it into something spectacular. It's so pretty. I don't know if you can see it on camera. It's so pretty. It also does have like that jelly, bally little shadow like the Huda Beauty ones do. I don't really use that one. It almost looks like it's growing mold. Oh my God, these are all dried out. They're all actually moving. They were all stuck in there, but look at it. Turns into like a cream shadow. But they're all like moving around. The whole gel thing is dried out. I don't know. I'm only going to keep this palette for these two shadows. I wonder if I can actually take these out with a magnet. Let's see if they're glued in there. Probably glued in there because it's quite an inexpensive palette, like $8 this palette. I think the packaging is glue rather than a magnetic like base. So we're going to try and take those shadows out and then declutter the rest of the palette because I like those two shadows. It's a pretty palette. So declutter, but keep the two shadows if I can. We'll put that to the side for now. We have we have another Juvia's Place palette. Now this is a Huda Beauty dupe for the Mercury Renegade palette, which I accidentally decluttered, which I was so angry about because that palette cost me over $200. It's a beautiful palette though. Oh, okay, that's really dry. Maybe the formula of these, like they start out good, but maybe they just dry out. Maybe that's the difference with the Huda Beauty and these palettes. Like Huda Beauty might not dry out as fast as these two because that's really dry and it wasn't dry like that. Let's try this gold one. It's very dry as well. Well, that's a bit better. I don't know. I was only keeping it for these two shades and then this one, but they're quite dry. We'll declutter that one. We have this Glamour Natrix Cosmetics Pretty in Pastel palette. I did do a tutorial with that one. Not very many people watched it, but that's okay. I still like the look that I created, and I'm going to keep this one because it's an expensive palette and it's not that old. And I like these shadows. Like these shimmers are really pretty, so I'll keep that one. Next, we have Smoke Sessions. Melt Cosmetics. I got this in my Melt Cosmetics mystery box that I unboxed 2 weeks ago. Love this palette. I can see myself using this Blue Dream shadow here as an inner corner highlighter multiple times over. And then these grungy greens are pretty. These ones are not really my forte. I don't really like gold shadows, but these ones are pretty, so we're going to keep that. And I want to play with this palette in a tutorial coming up, so I'll keep that one. All right, we are down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 palettes. Let's talk about this Morphe X Meredith Duxbury palette. It's a pretty palette. It's a beautiful rainbow palette. Vibrant, pastel-y, neutral, shimmery. We're going to keep it. I didn't like the formula too much, but I'm going to keep it because I can use this for special effects makeup. These vibrant colors, I'm just going to get a brush and mix them all up and put them on my face, and I don't care if I mix the shadows up because it's just one of those palettes that I don't see myself using too much besides that. So we'll keep it, but I'm not in love with that. We're just keeping it for ideas that I have for Halloween coming up. Michaela palette, Glam Light, the first one. We are going to keep this one because I really like the color story, and again it has the greens I love, the pinks and the purples and the blues. Haven't really touched the neutrals, but the shimmers and Glam Lights formula are out of this world. Like this is a 2-year-old palette. Look at that vibrant green though, like 2 years old. It's just one swatch. Hello. I mean, you can't get quality like that lasts that long in a lot of palettes. And Glam Light, their formulas are out of this world. Shipping is shit, but the formula is great. Keep that one. Next, we have this one here. Twas the Night Before Christmas. Erica Beauty Egg Glam Glow Lashes collaboration Christmas palette. I actually really like this palette, and this is a friend of mine, her collaboration. I think it's her first eyeshadow collaboration, so we're going to keep it. It does have the glitter shades. Now, I don't really like glitter, but these glitters worked, and I did a live with Erica and Pure Lottie, I think on Instagram at the time, because we weren't on TikTok, and I used the green, and I really like the formula, so we're going to keep that one. I have someone mowing the lawn outside my house, so if you can hear that, I apologize. But we have 4 palettes left, so let's get through them quickly. God, they're literally outside my house. So annoying. Okay, we have this Blend Bunny Cosmetics Primal palette. This is so pretty. We're going to keep it. I love the shimmers. I love this pastel row at the top. It's so pretty. And then these vibrant, like, pinky orange, orange, yellow, green, purple, or blue, purple. That's more of a purple blue, but purple. It's really pretty. We're going to keep this palette. Blend Bunny's formula, again, out of this world. Let's try this blue. I mean, look at that blue, vibrant. Put that on. Like, look at that. Pretty. And then if I get, let me show you something. This is what I like to do. I have a deep blue or a deep purple. Then I get this Hershey's palette, and then I dip my finger into this. This is more of an eyeshadow topper. You can really see the transformation that's going to happen. Look at it. Look at it. And I can do it in half. Okay, that didn't really work as much as I wanted, but you can see how it transforms the shadow. It's so pretty. We're going to keep that one. It didn't work the way I wanted it to, but you get the idea. All right, now we have these three. Okay, so this is a glitter palette from With Love Cosmetics. I bought all of these individually almost 3 years ago during the pandemic, and I love this one. I've used this glitter up already, but these glitter formulas are good. They're not biodegradable, but they perform really nicely. So I'm going to keep these. I don't think they expire. I guess the glue that holds them together will like dry out eventually, but these are still really good. Like, I don't want to get glitter all over myself, but I'm going to swatch it for you. Like, look at that. It's pretty. Let's swatch. Usually I do use a glitter glue just to hold it in place, but you can get the idea. Like, put that on an eye. That's pretty. A bit chunky, but it's still pretty. I'm going to keep that one. Then we have, oh God, we've got another Juvia's. I think I actually had 20 Juvia's Place palettes at one point because I kept buying their mystery boxes and then all their bundle deals. So I have a lot of Juvia's Place palettes. This one is the Culture palette. I initially thought I would love this palette. It's got the greens rose, the pinky, like peachy toned row, the blue row, and then the purple row. So it's got the rows that like each row has their own thing. But the formula is very, very dry. And if I'm going to keep a palette, I need to know that the shimmers will work. Like, the mattes might work, but I need to know that the shimmers will work, because that's what makes a palette for me, is their shimmers. And if the shimmers are not working and I need to reach into another shimmer or another eyeshadow palette for a shimmer, oh, that's pretty though. Like, that's just like lackluster. It looks really good on the finger, but when I swatch, and then this purple one, like, it's dry. It's dry. Why? I shouldn't have to reach into an eyeshadow palette with the same shimmer shade as the one in this palette to get the shimmer to work for me. Like, if it's the same shimmer, I shouldn't have to reach into another palette for the same shimmer, if you get what I mean. So this is going to go. Yeah, I'm going to declutter that one. Next, and lastly, we have this Melt Christmas Town palette. Now, this one I just got the same time I got the mystery box palettes. This was half price, so $35. And it's so pretty. I'm so happy with this palette. I'm not going to declutter it because it's brand new to me. It's got the greens, it's got the purples, it's got the grungy, like smoky, dark tones that I need. And then this light shade is actually a light, like really light bluish tinge white. So it's a white, but it's got like a bluish tinge finish to it. I love it. We're keeping it, and the packaging is just stunning. Like, look at that. It moves. Oh, look at that. That's so cool. When this palette launched, I really wanted it, but financially I couldn't afford it, and also the shipping for Melt's products can be quite expensive. So I waited until this was on sale, and then the mystery boxes at the same time. So I'm really happy I got this palette. And that is the last palette in my collection. I'm so happy that I've finally done this video. Let me quickly show you all the palettes I'm going to declutter / give away. That lawnmower is literally outside my house. So rude. And these guys are all the palettes that I'm decluttering or giving away. So these three I'm giving away to my friends. So those are 3 palettes I'm giving away. But the rest, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 palettes plus 3 that I'm giving away. So 24 palettes I am decluttering from my collection, which I'm so happy about. So that is, if I've got 90 palettes, 24 palettes, That's more than, that's about 30% of my collection. I'm at 25% of my, anyway, I'm getting rid of a lot of palettes and I'm really happy with that. So I will have a lot more room in my drawers and I'm really happy with that. Most of these palettes are very old, like the Strawberry Dream palette. Like I said, this is my oldest palette and it is over 4 years old. Then this Moonspell palette is over 3 years old because I bought this like very close to this one. I think this one came out after that one. Then like these Juvia's Place palettes, a lot of these I have had over, I bought these in COVID time, at the start of COVID. When I had nothing to do, I was buying a whole lot of these palettes because they're all going on sales and bundles. So I'm happy that I'm finally getting rid of this one. This one is over 3 years old. These ones are dried out. Like a lot of these are just not performing the way I got. Like this yellow, it's pretty, but it's not, like I'm digging my finger into that. It's not giving me what I wanted. Like it's pretty, but it's not what it was when I first got it. This one is hard pan almost. It's pretty again, but it's lackluster. It's not what I wanted from a palette, so we're just going to declutter it. This one again is, the formula is different to these two different formulas. Again, I'm only going to keep it for this one shadow. When I get rid of that, if I can, I'll get rid of the palette. Lackluster, this is 3+ years old, so I don't feel guilty at all getting rid of these. And I'm really happy with the ones that I'm keeping. The collection is diverse. I've got a whole lot of neutral palettes, colorful palettes, indie brand palettes, and I like to support small businesses when I can. And I just like to talk about the formulas from different businesses. Like I can rely on a Melt Cosmetics eyeshadow palette. I can rely on these Glam Lights because their shimmers are out of this world. You know, these are palettes that I will reach for all the time because I know how the shimmers perform. And if they stop performing, then I'll get rid of them. But till then, they just perform. Like this is over 2 years old now, I think. And I mean, you saw the green, like that green is stunning. It's a beautiful palette. The Blend Bunnies, the matte still blend. This is my original Blend Bunnies palette and it's over 2 years old, and look how good the formula is still. I use this constantly. Every time I do a makeup look, I will have this one next to me in case another shadow doesn't work. I can reach for this one. So I'm really happy with the collection that I have still in front of me, and I'm really happy to get rid of these. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've got any questions on any of the products that I have mentioned, any brands, please leave a comment down below. And if you don't know what to comment, leave a comment saying eyeshadow palette or a love heart emoji or something, because that really does help the algorithm out. And also guys, do check out my Instagram and TikTok because I do post a lot of things on there that I don't film on here. But with that guys, I'm going to love and leave you. Till next time, stay safe and I'll see you later. All my love. Bye.